All right, so I'm going to do another tutorial on sending a MetaHuman to ZBrush. This is going to be an update with the Unreal 5.7. So this is going to be, I'm going to cover the entire process of creating your MetaHumans, sending them to Maya, and then sending them to ZBrush. So you're going to need Maya and ZBrush for this. So let's get started. I'm going to show you the plugins you need. So I've got Maya here. Here's my MetaHuman that I've sent over. And then I've got ZBrush. And the reason I'm going to show you a few different tricks. So we can send a MetaHuman that's split, but when you divide it, you get that seam line where the head and body are split. So I'm going to show you how to merge them as well. So you can sculpt across that line. Or you can project this MetaHuman body onto a custom character and turn that character into a MetaHuman. And then I'll show you how to bring it back. In another tutorial, I'm going to show you how to send that MetaHuman, the merged MetaHuman, back to Maya and fix the vertices so that it has the same vertex position and you can use it in Unreal. But for this tutorial, we're just going to send our MetaHuman from Unreal to Maya and then over to ZBrush. All right, so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing you're going to need is your MetaHuman plugin. So you're going to go to Fab, and you can just search MetaHuman. Sorry, I haven't opened Fab in a while. It's taking a bit to load. I've also got all these open. Let me go ahead and close ZBrush and Maya before we move on. All right, so the one you're looking for is MetaHuman for Maya. All right, that's what we're going to want to add. So when you go into this plugin, you're going to see install plugin and it's set for Unreal Engine. So you're going to want to do that one first if you haven't installed this to the engine. So that's going to give you the plugin in your Unreal Engine library. But to get it to go to Maya, you're going to need to go down to this Your Settings here, and you can change your export target. So you can actually send this to Blender as well, which is fantastic. So set it to Maya, and then say if you need to update it, sometimes you can do this again too, because I find that the update doesn't automatically, it'll tell you in Maya it needs an update and then it doesn't really run it from here. So you can go and reinstall plugin as well. Anyway, if you haven't installed it, you're going to go ahead and want to install that plugin with Maya closed. And let me just close Maya. All right, so I've already got it installed, so I don't need to do that. So I'm installing this plugin to Unreal Engine and to Maya. Okay, so once that is done, you're going to go ahead and go to your library. Sorry, we're going to go to our Unreal Engine and our library. And you want to make sure in installed plugins, you've got the MetaHuman for Maya run in there. Okay, but you also want to so if you've already installed Unreal 5.7.1, you need to go into your options and make sure you go down to MetaHuman Creator Core Data. All right, that's going to allow you to use. So if you already installed it, that's fine. You can still check it and then hit apply, and it's going to it'll add the MetaHuman for you. All right, so just make sure you have that. That's going to be right here in this little tick right here, and go to options. So you need MetaHuman Creator Core Data. And once you have that, you can launch 5.7 and you're going to open up your Unreal Engine. Okay. So you are going to also need to install some of your plugins here. So I'm going to go up to Edit, and I'm going to go to my plugins, and I'm going to type in MetaHuman, and I'm going to see my my MetaHuman Creator. All right, that's you're going to want to install MetaHuman Creator, okay? because we need to create our MetaHuman inside our Unreal Engine. Okay. Now you can add live link and all of these other things. I've added MetaHuman Animator. Another thing, if you're going to be working with hair, you want to do hair. There it is. So you want to do this Alembic Groom Importer. I've already got it selected, but if you're working with custom MetaHuman hair, you want to do anything custom with their hair, you need to set that Groom Importer to. It's going to ask you to restart your machine after you're done, so go ahead and do that. And then I've already created a custom MetaHuman, but let's create another one. So I'm just going to right click in my content, and I'm going to go to MetaHuman, and we've got our MetaHuman Creator right here. All right, so I'm going to name it. It's going to take a little while to create. Now I'll double click it to open it. And what I suggest, if you're doing this process a lot, is to just create kind of a blank male and a blank female that that you want to use. Just kind of a default male, default female. All right, so we've got our MetaHuman. It doesn't have any textures. It's just kind of the out-of-the-box MetaHuman, which is fine. You could just finish and create this and send it over too if you wanted. So I'm going to go ahead and go to the presets, because I actually think that the presets are pretty darn good, and I'm just going to use Orlando for my standard male, and just double click the preset and it'll give you the ability to open up that MetaHuman. Now you can use the blank MetaHuman out of the gate too. That's fine. And I mean, these meshes deform, so you can use this blank MetaHuman on a female and just sculpt out everything anyway. It's going to have the same topology, the same layout and everything. All right, so the hair is loading. Now, one thing that Unreal is not going to do in this export to Maya is send your grooms out. You're going to get a bald character. But one thing that Unreal is going to do, so we could go in and change our character after the fact too. We can sculpt on him if we wanted. So we could do the blend, we could do the modeling here, and I can just stretch these sliders, and there's a bunch of videos on customizing MetaHumans, so I'll leave you to that. But the one thing that we want to do is we actually want to, we can change our material too. Now, if you had that blank MetaHuman, you would come in and add a skin. Usually, I like to add a skin because when you do export this, you can use the texture maps and paint over them too. So you can customize them, but you can kind of blend them and use them as well. Now I'm going to go to my hair and clothes. I want to remove, so I'm going to click on the clothes and then I'm going to say remove. Now I absolutely do not want clothes on my character, because when, at least previously, I haven't tested this out recently actually, but in previous versions, under the clothes was a clear mesh. It was blanked out. So with the clothes removed, again, I click the clothes and say remove. With the clothes removed, I've got my basically naked character, right? He's got his chonies on, but that's about it, okay? And I could, if I wanted to, I could remove his hair too. I'm gonna leave it, that's fine. It's not getting sent over, and I can always replace it. So I need to, before I assemble, if I go to assemble right now, it's going to say characters not rigged. So I need to create the full rig. So this is going to rig the body and the face and add all of the blend shapes and ARKit stuff. So I'm going to say create full rig. So it's going to do that, and I'll be right back once this is finished. All right, so I have built my rig, and now we're going to assemble our character. So we need to build two different versions of this character. We need one for Unreal, which is going to be our Unreal Cine Complete. And if I click down here, we can see we also have DCC export. So we'll do our Unreal Cine Complete. That's just going to build our MetaHuman inside of Unreal. All right, so I can just say, it says character is missing textures. Oh, we got to download the textures. I'll say download texture source. Download a source textures. I might have needed to do that before. It's weird because he does have his textures. I guess I just didn't download them. All right, we're going to have to remove the rig. Doggone it, you got to download the textures first. All right, let's remove the rig. That's a little wonky. You know, maybe I didn't need to download the texture sources. Okay, that was successful. So I guess I did. It'd be nice if you could add the texture sources while it's skinned, but I guess there's a reason for that. There we go, successful. Okay, so let's go ahead and create our full rig again. And I'll be right back. All right, that is ready to go. Now we can go to our assembly again. I'm just clicking off of assemble to go back to it. So now my green assemble button's ready to go. So I'm going to create my Unreal Engine Cine Complete option first. The root directory, you can change that if you want. The game MetaHumans is fine for me. And you can change the name now too. So we can change this to something else. Now from this single, MetaHuman Creator, we could build a bunch of different MetaHumans if we wanted, right? And then we would change their name each time we made a new one. So I'm going to say assemble. And that's going to build my MetaHuman. So I'll be back, and then we will do the DCC export to Maya. All right, we've got our MetaHuman built for Unreal. So now, while we're still in our Unreal, our MetaHuman Creator, let's go ahead and in our assembly, we're going to go to DCC export. All right, and then our output folder is where we're going to send this guy. Okay, so I've got that. And so bake makeup, I'm going to say no to that. All right, I've selected my output folder. You could export a zipped file if you would like as well. We're not going to do that though. So the zip file would be good if you needed to send it to someone. Now I'm going to hit assemble again. So now it's exporting this MetaHuman for Maya. And I will be back after this cooks. All right, so that is done now. We've successfully built a MetaHuman within Unreal, and we've sent one over to Maya. So if I go into my Unreal, my MetaHumans right here, I'm going to see MetaToot, which is this guy, and there he is. So I need to open up my viewport to see him. There he is. And his hair is crazy. I don't know what's going on with that. There's something with the binding. So I'm pretty sure I know how to fix this, but for now, we can just grab the hair and there's the groom asset. Just say clear. Man, it's having trouble with all the hair. Is that the beard too? Yeah, all of this MetaHuman's hair. I have a feeling it is it's the binding. So just gotta fix the binding. That's gonna be this binding asset. But I'm not gonna do that right now. That is another project. All right, so let's go ahead and go to Maya now. And let's build this character. So in Maya, if you've successfully installed the plugin, you're going to see this MetaHuman tab up here. So you're going to want to go to Character Assembler, and you're going to need to go to a directory. It's funny because it's actually the directory above your folder. So let's go to my folder. So there we go. Now that I've selected, it's got to be the folder above the folder that this is built in. So this guy's built in MetaToot. So a folder above, and then you'll see. If you don't see your MetaHuman, go to the previous folder and select it, and you should see it. So you actually don't select your, it's kind of funny. It should just be that you select the folder that the MetaHuman is in, but it's the folder that the MetaHuman is contained in. So I'm going to select this guy and I'm going to say assemble. Now I've got from DNA, I've got import head, body, textures. All right, and my up axis, it's just going to automatically build the up axis with the Z, I believe is Unreal is Z up. Are you sure you want to import a MetaHuman character? I'm going to say yes, and we'll be back. So we have our MetaHuman fully built in Maya now. Now, when you do this assembly, it is going to build you a Maya binary scene that just says scene.mb. So you can save this again. Maybe you want to do some edits, you can save it again, but it does automatically save a new scene once it assembles. And we can see we've got our MetaHuman, and he is fully rigged, and this all works inside Maya as well, which is very cool. Now I'm going to do a video series on editing the blend shapes because this MetaHuman plugin now has expression editor, which is so cool. It allows you to edit your blend shapes. So if you have some pretty extreme facial shapes, you can still get some great animation. Okay, so I'm going to send these back to 0. All right, so my facial rig is back to 0. Now your MetaHuman comes in 2 parts, okay? And we want to merge these 2 parts to send them over to ZBrush. Not only do we want to merge these 2 parts, but we also want to merge the vertices at that seam so we can sculpt across it. Because in ZBrush, if we send these separate and we start dividing and sculpting across them, if we try and project this mesh onto another custom MetaHuman, we're going to always be fighting with that seam. So we want to merge it, and then when we bring it back from ZBrush after we're done with all of our customization, we'll split it again, and then we will transfer our vertex order from this original MetaHuman over to the new one that we've split. Because once you merge it, it's going to change your vertex order. So for now, we're just going to merge it. So I'm going to click our head, click our body, and I'm going to go to mesh. Now I just want to make sure I'm in modeling right now. Okay, so I'll go mesh. And we'll go down to, where's my merge? Combine, sorry. Mesh combine. Okay, so now they're combined. I want to select the verts along the border edge between that head and neck split. Okay, or sorry, the neck and body split. So what I want to do is I'm just going to go to display, and I'm going to go to polygons. I'm going to go to custom polygon display down here. I'm going to select my highlight border edges, and that's just going to show me if I have any edges that aren't sewn together. It's going to show me. So there we go. There's our border edge. So now I'll just right click and go into my edge selection mode, double click that edge, and I can see I've got one edge, but I've got another one that's unselected. So I'll shift, double click that edge, and now I can see it's solid. I know I've got both edges selected. So now I can go into select and just convert that to vertices. Instead of having to select each set of vertices and make sure I've got both of them to merge, this is a much easier way to do it. So in select, I'll just go down to convert selection to vertices. There we go. Now I've got my merge vertices here. I can also go into edit mesh, and my merge vertices is also here. So I'm going to merge my vertices. And I've got my my mesh display up here, so I know I just went from down to 92 vertices, which is the correct amount. But I can always move my slider just to make sure I'm getting a merge. You know, if you've got a set of verts that aren't snapping together and merging, you can always just keep moving your slider. Now, if you move it too far, they're all going to snap together in a way that is going to break your mesh. But you can just left click and drag them back, and you want that verts at 92. Okay. So now I'm going to just right click and go to my object mode. And I want to send over my eyes and teeth too. Now, if I click on my eyes, I'm going to get this eye, the eye shell. So I'm going to hide that, and then I'll click on each of these eyes. I'll click on my body, and I will take my teeth. I don't want to take the saliva. Well, maybe I do want to. Yeah, I want to take the saliva too. So I'm going to take my teeth and my saliva. I'm just going to hold Control Shift. That's going to allow me to take. So the MetaHuman teeth have a little saliva cover that helps them shine better right around the gums. You want to move that too. So if we move the mouth position on our character when we're sculpting it, we want to move the teeth as well. If we move the eyes, the eye, sockets, we want to move the eyeballs with them perfectly. So we want to send all this stuff over to make sure our custom MetaHuman matches the eyes and teeth. So with all those selected, I'm going to make sure I say edit, delete all by type history. Okay. That's going to delete my entire rig. You don't want to save after this, because if you save after this over your scene, you're going to have a MetaHuman that doesn't work, and you're going to have to reassemble it, because I just completely broke the rig. So this is just for our export purposes. I'm not going to save when I close Maya. So I'll say File. I'm going to say Export Selection, and I want to export an FBX. It just makes it so much easier. And I'll say merged head body, and then we'll say just 2, because I've already done this once. So let's go ahead and save that. Now, it didn't take long because it's not exporting a rig. If you were sending a rig out, this MetaHuman rig would take forever. So we're ready to go into ZBrush. All right, I'm going to open up ZBrush. All right, I'm going to go ahead and hit my comma to get rid of. Now I want to import. So I'm going to say import. And I've got my merged head body 2. This is an FBX, so I'm going to say OK. And that is going to bring along I'm going to drag out. It's going to bring along my guy. Now I can hit T. And so when I merged them, his head got his body texture. So the reason you're seeing that gray texture is just because these are two, ZBrush isn't using like a UDIM mode. So these are two textures overlapping since they're both sitting in the 0 to 1. That's fine. We can actually export textures with ZBrush in UDIM mode now. And so, but if you want to get rid of that and just see, I can say texture on. Oh, that's for my teeth. So in my subtools, this is a great thing about the FBX, is I've got all of my teeth, my saliva, my eye left, eye right, and then I've got my body. So I'll go ahead and say just turn the texture map off on him. And now you can see if I want to divide this guy, I'm not getting that seam here. I can sculpt across this mesh perfectly. The most important thing you want to always maintain with your MetaHuman is the UVs. You do not want to alter your UVs because we can always bring stuff back to the MetaHuman through the UVs. Okay. So in my next video, I'll show you how to send this guy back to Maya. But with this, you can apply, you can bring in a text string XYZ mesh and wrap it over this and then project the details. So there's so many things you can do once you get this full body sculpt into ZBrush. So hope you enjoy. Have a great time, and please like, subscribe, all that jazz. I will see you in the next video. Thank you.